Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
And I'm Scott Wakefield, host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham, where we talk about comic books and all kinds of great storytelling, sometimes with incredible guests. And we want you to join us Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline's Silver Sunday. How is everyone doing this evening?
Good, thank you.
That's good. Tommy, glad you could jump in at the last minute. I told everybody, I said, Tommy will get here right when I start the video.
Trying to eat something real quick. Hot wings, and I am sweaty from all the hot wings. I shouldn't have done that.
Pop says
So,
do it live. I don't know
if
what
you
he means
see
by
me
that.
run real quick, I'll be back in just a second.
Let me see if I can move some of these
Ooh.
banners around here. We want to put Madeleine, since she's our guest here, put her in the center, but I don't want a big Silverline banner over her face. So
It's fine.
You could put it over mine. I'm kind of low.
you're kind of low. Not low.
No, I'm low on the screen.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't have it set for the center, so there we are. All right, so you go around real quick. Everybody say hi. Haley, say hi to everybody.
Hi. Do you want me to say like what I do for Silverline?
No, we just get voices that way for our podcast, and
Okay,
but
well,
only here. Yeah. Glad you could be with us, Haley.
yeah.
Pete, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning to you.
Yes,
still late for
technically
me.
it's just gone midnight, so yes. Good morning.
Oh, so wait, did you just have time change?
No,
Oh, okay.
usually it's 1 a.m. for me. It's now midnight.
We had the time
Okay,
thing.
so it's a little earlier. So you didn't even go to bed tonight then yet?
I did.
Okay.
You
Roberta,
Hello.
good to see you here with us on Sunday night again.
Hi, nice to be here tonight.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
We need
Very
you to
good.
take care of that elbow.
I do.
We
It
need you to
does
take care of the
hurt.
drawing hand. That's important.
It is. I don't know why it's like this, but it hurts a little.
What'd you do?
I don't know.
Okay.
can't
She was
say.
scrubbing her oven too hard.
She done
Yeah, I
strained
was
it.
Wow.
scrubbing. I think I
She's
just strained
probably
it.
out dancing or whatever.
Oh, that'd be
put my arm out.
cool.
Yeah.
I wish.
She was
that what
doing the
happened?
Saturday Night Fever dance, right?
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
And Tommy, say
it
hi to
affects-
everybody.
It affects
Hello,
things I pick up way
everybody.
more than drawing, so I'm good.
Yeah, it does. Especially if it's your dominant hand, right? You realize
Yeah.
all the things that you do with your dominant hand.
Yeah. So I'm good to draw.
Did you go biking today, Tommy?
No, I did not.
Okay.
It was too cold, and I got up at 7, and I'm like, no. And then I let the folks know that I was going with them. Like, do y'all want to go? And they were like, they didn't answer. I'm like, I'm going back to bed. I didn't give them enough time to even answer me back. I said, I'm going back to bed.
All right, I'm rolling, and tonight we have with us our special guest, Madeleine Holly-Rosing. How are you, Madeleine?
As you can see, I'm a little chilly, but otherwise I'm good. Thank you.
But that's a lot like that. That's pretty like unusual for someone who is in LA, right?
Well, not this time of the year. January through March and parts of April, it can be chilly, but as you've probably heard, we've been through. We've actually had snow here.
I heard that.
Yeah, I mean,
was
there was
cool.
actually snowflakes here by my house. Nothing stuck.
Right.
And yes, that is extremely unusual. Not today. It's just kind of a drizzly day, but a major storm is supposed to hit Tuesday. Again.
Another snow.
Another
one.
Cold storm.
I think
just-
so, yeah. But Central and Northern California is really getting hammered. So
this is going to be like the 100-year snow. Is that?
it's something like that. I'm not complaining because we so desperately need the water.
Yeah.
And the snowpack in the Sierras is doing really well. I don't know how that affects the Colorado River because that's important too, but our reservoirs are starting to fill up.
That's good news.
Yeah, it looks better.
Yeah, it looks better. It's not great, but it's definitely much better.
So Roberta is your neighbor out there. Roberta's also in your neck of the woods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
So-
not out in LA also.
Yeah.
So me and Tommy and Haley are all in Florida. Pete, as you might have guessed, is across the pond. He's
Yes.
on that island over there. They sometimes thinks that they still own us. You know,
They
Great
think,
island.
or Pete does anyway.
the Great Island. That's right. Yeah. So it's funny because I have seen a lot of that on the news, and I'm like that because someone said it's snowing in LA, and I thought they meant Lower Alabama for a while, and I'm like. All right, so Vic is with us again. Vic says, "Buonasera, Silverliners and Madeleine." Hey, Vic, good to see you here. Comics Talk with Pop says, "Yay, yo, yo."
Yo.
Florida, oh no, it's 80. That's about right. Alexa, what's the temperature? Ooh, it's actually 61. So
It was chilly this morning.
yes, ask Alexa one question, and she just keeps going on and on and on. It's like, no,
It's like just answer the question. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the temperature?
So if you are a regular to the Silverline streams, Madeleine is not really a surprise face to you these days. She's been on. She talked to the Whammers on Wednesday, and she talked to the Tuesday folks. I think it was this past Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So she's tonight completes the full circuit.
She's probably sick and tired of talking to us.
But she gets different people every time.
I do.
Yeah,
I get different people, so that's very cool.
Yeah, so she sees the Silverline logo. She's like, yeah, but who are all these people? That makes sense now. I understand why Vic said round 3. I get it now.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was telling Madeleine before we started, what I want to try to do is I want to try to ask questions that maybe the Whammers and the Tuesday folks didn't ask. But before I get into those, I'm going to let you guys take pot shots at her with questions first. Any of y'all have questions that you want her to answer? Pete's got one. I can see it's on the tip of his tongue. It's like, go ahead, Pete. Fire away.
Okay. I don't know where to start, really.
Pete's like, stop that.
Well, why don't I give an intro first
Yeah, go on. You go.
for your
Yeah.
audience who has not seen the last 2 shows I've been
That's
on.
right. Tell us who you are.
I am the writer-creator of the Steampunk Supernatural series, Boston Metaphysical Society, which is in graphic novel, prose, and audio drama format. I started with a 6-issue miniseries, which is now what I call Volume 1, with art by Emily Hugh. And then we did 4 standalone sequels, which with art by Gwen Tavares, which is all compiled into what we call Volume 2. And now we're doing a brand new series called Mystery at Pikes Peak with a brand new team on board. I've got Elizabeth McKedza doing the interior art, Katie Brown coloring, Troy Pateri is back, of course, with lettering. And for our main covers is Angela Wu. And I have, for the very first time, I'm doing variants. I've never done variants before. I have the first issue variant is by Rio Burton, which is part of our little thumbnail there on Kickstarter. And our second one is by Steph C. So yeah, those are the covers by Angela Wu. And they have a very textured, they're very textured feel to them. They're really cool. And that's some of our interior art by Elizabeth and Katie.
So
that's the cover of Volume 1, which is our original 6-issue miniseries, with a cover by Roberta Ingranata. And if you recognize her name, she's currently doing Doctor Who for Titan Comics.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And that's our Volume 2, which has the 4 standalone sequels with cover art by Marguerite Sauvage. And those are variant covers. That's Rios. And that's Steph C. And those are also available in metal.
Cool.
And we have the audio drama. We have a CD and a commercial-free download. That's our new Tesla coil pin. We do a new pin every Kickstarter because people collect them, so it's pretty they're fun.
That's cool.
And that's a full set.
That's a set. Mm-hmm.
If you're missing something. And there are 2 prose prequels, and that's the novel Storm of Secrets. And then before that, and underneath that is the cover for Prelude, which is an anthology of short stories and novellas.
And those are all prequels to the comics, right?
Yes, those are prequels to the original 6-issue miniseries.
Excellent. Nice. Very cool. And I know you're working on the stretch goal now, right?
Yeah, that's actually our, I added on an add-on. And so the set of 3 dirigibles is a new add-on that I just put up today. And we just passed our 4th stretch goal for the bookmark of the experimental station in stainless steel. And so we're just moving into our next one, which I haven't updated that yet.
Okay. Gotcha.
Is to upgrade that bookmark to a copper finish.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now we should point out that for those of you who are looking, there are 663 backers. You had a $8,500 goal. I'm gonna take a stab. You probably got that in the first day.
Yeah, in the first 12 hours.
The first 12 hours. So, and you are standing currently at $21,306. So, let me probably not be the first, but be amongst the many to say congratulations on
thank you
on making the goal and going far beyond that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So one of the things I'm going to ask, I'll give these guys, I'll kick it off, give these guys a chance to think. So I caught from one of the last interviews from you, the LA thing. And of course, I knew this before you hopped on. And so you are in LA, but this is Boston Metaphysical Society. So are you an LA native? Or are you
I'm a California native, primarily Southern California, yes.
Okay. So what made you decide to choose Boston as your setting?
Strictly story decision. When I had originally developed this, as you may have heard before, it was originally a TV pilot that I wrote while I was at UCLA Film School. Mm-hmm. And it was suggested to me that I adapt it into a graphic novel and then bring it back to Hollywood. But then a funny thing happened. I discovered that I really liked writing comics in the indie creator community. So here I am 10 years later. But when I was developing the story, so much of steampunk was set, particularly when I did this story, was set in Victorian England. Mm-hmm. And this is a very American story.
You're welcome.
Of course.
It was pretty traditional. You see a lot of multicultural and different points of view, steampunky type things now. But back when I wrote this, you didn't. And so I wanted to do an American perspective, and I wanted to set it in a city that when you said the name to an American, it evoked almost an emotional response. And when you say Boston to an American who actually knows their history, it gives you a sense of almost mythology and culture of where this country first started. And also the town itself, it's a smaller city. It's a very intimate city. So it really had the elements I needed for this story.
Yeah.
So it was strictly a story decision.
Now, have you been to Boston?
Oh, yeah. I went to school on the East Coast.
Okay.
And traveled up and down a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, there might be many amongst the community that would say, why on earth did you decide to make that decision to go from screenwriting to comics? And most people want to go the other way.
It's actually not very unusual now. You see a lot of screenwriters writing comics. That's not unusual. And the reason being is that it's both visual writing.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of similarities, but I also see people who are screenwriters who try to write a comic without educating themselves on how comics are written.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to say is that and I'm not. We try to keep everything positive here, so I'm not going to say any negatives, right? So I've read any number of comics that are written by screenwriters, and when I read them, I read them and go, this is terrible. It's paced like a television show where there's lots of tiny little things that you don't need, right? But now you sent us, and I apologize because you have many issues out now, so you sent us a PDF of one that we could review. I don't remember which issue that I read it, but I don't remember which particular issue that was.
It probably would have been the original.
The first one, yeah.
It was the first one, I think.
Yeah. So when I read it, I'm like, well, this is good. This is not like this is not like a television script, right? Because again, part of my problem is I read it and I'm like, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. But you didn't have a lot of those pages that have tiny little things going on that a TV writer would include. And I thought I say this as a good thing. I say this is wow. That's one of my pet peeves when I see a lot of TV writers coming into comics is they don't, as you pointed out, they don't educate themselves at the difference between comics and television.
Yeah, and
so were you a comic reader before someone suggested you do that?
No, I was not. It wasn't until I started writing comics that I really started reading comics, and there's a lot of reasons why. My brother has probably one of the largest graded collections of Daredevil comics in the United States. And so all I knew was superhero.
Right.
And that just never interested me.
Yeah.
And when I actually went back to school to learn how to write sequential art.
Oh, cool.
And I had terrific teachers. My classmates were amazing. I had terrific mentors, and of which I credit all of them to helping along for my success, because it wouldn't have happened without them.
Can you say where you went?
Excuse me?
Can you say where you went?
Well, it was actually UCLA, a continuing ed program.
Nice.
Nunzio De Felipe was the instructor, and he's done like Dragon Age. He and his wife Christina have done a gazillion comics, and he was great. And my classmates have not only gone on to produce Eisner nominated, they ended up in gaming. Some ended up being tremendously successful, if not in comics, in something related in the entertainment. Right. Extremely talented individuals. So I was lucky to be in their presence.
Cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Let's see here. We got a few comments here. Pete's already over it when you said American. Vic says, do you write your dialogue with a Boston accent?
No, I do not. Well, that's because one of my characters is Irish, though she was American Irish. She was born in Boston.
What's the daughter, right?
Yeah, that's the daughter. That's Caitlin. And it's only in my audio drama that we had the production team and we had a discussion, like, do we want to have this with the Bostonian accent? And I just thought it would be too distracting for the average audio listener.
Right.
But we did have one character in one scene who was the harbor master. I said, I heard the actor, sent us his take. And I said, I think we need to keep the Boston accent for this particular character. Yeah. So it added a whole other dimension and fun to it without distracting. Because particularly when you're listening to something, sometimes accents can just be a little overwhelming.
Yeah. As a Southerner, I can attest to that.
And there's different levels of Southern, and that. And, different. Just like in the New York tri-state area, there's differences between Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, and then if you're in Manhattan, they all sound like they're Californians. It just depends on,
Yeah. So what were some of the first comics? So obviously you were thinking Daredevil. So what were some of the first comics that made you realize, whoa, look, there's more to comics than just Daredevil?
Well, actually, I never read any of my brother's Daredevil. He doesn't either. He just collects them.
Oh man,
I don't even understand that.
I don't either.
I don't understand it at all.
Those are painful words for a writer, right?
Yeah, he's a collector. He's not a writer.
Yeah. No, for a writer to hear. Oh, I just collected. I don't read it. What? No. You got to read it. I wrote it.
Yeah. But to answer your question, it would be like Why the Last Man, Astro City, Watchmen, and then when Saga came out, and then I read a lot of indies because I support a lot of other Kickstarters.
Yeah.
And those were a lot of fun. And it really pissed me off because there were so many great stories and no one had ever told me about this before.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoyed it.
Blame your brother.
And still enjoying it.
Yeah. You should blame your brother. It's his fault for not telling you that other comics existed out there.
I don't even know if he knew. I have no idea.
Really? Well, I guess
I never asked.
I never asked. Read them.
Does your brother read your books?
No, but he has me sign them in front of CGC and then get some,
slabbed.
Oh, I'm
just in case.
I'm a totally
or something later on. So no, he doesn't.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Vic says, "Did you ever read Love and Rockets for the non-superhero comics by the Hernandez brothers?"
I don't think so.
No.
I know since I have this huge gap in my education, I've been playing catch up, so Love
and Rockets has been going on for what, Tommy? Since the 70s or since the 80s? When did Love and Rockets start?
Oh,
probably
mid 70s. Yeah,
I don't know. When it started.
70s.
Yeah, it's been going on for almost as long as I can remember in the independent comics. Or it went on for a long time. Royal Airship says, American Steampunk, you say? What year is this set in? You might recognize Royal Airships. He was Rory from Wednesday night. And those guys, that do Steam Patriots.
Now you spoiled it. Now everybody knows who it is. He was trying to be secret all this time. Can you edit that out?
Possibly. I'm sorry, Royal Airships.
Oh, you outed him.
So.
Anyway, to answer his question, the original series starts in 1895.
Yeah,
and then we're now into 1896 as the later issues have gone on. The prequel novel takes place in 1890.
Okay.
And the anthology of prose and novellas takes place anywhere 35 years to 35 years prior to the original 6-issue miniseries.
Yeah. And that's the 1900s. That's generally about the time period of steampunk, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. because it was kind of on that cusp of gasoline, the gasoline engines, steam engines, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's like it goes like from what is it, steampunk, diesel punk in the early like 1900s, like around 1910, and then I forgot what after. There's a something punk for everything. There's solar punk now, hope punk, silk punk, hope punk,
hope,
HOPE, hope punk.
What the heck is hope punk?
In speculative fiction, have you heard of Becky Chambers, the writer Becky Chambers? She does a science fiction series called, I think, the Wayfarer series, and essentially so much of science fiction is dystopian. Hers is not dystopian. But it's also not necessarily like everything is wonderful,
right?
But it's not dystopian, and it's
people are hunting each other.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, bad things do happen, but it's not this dystopian, people eating each other. It's like none of that,
Yeah. Royal Airship says the 18th century is going to be pretty steamy. So the metaphysical part, how I guess when you look at it, because it is a kind of a steampunk, which is kind of an alternate reality. How much? Which do you think is the most important to you? Is it the ghost stuff, or is it the historical stuff?
Okay, well, let me explain something first about the use of the word metaphysical. The term metaphysical back in the late 1800s was used to describe paranormal and supernatural activity. Today's definition of the word has a more philosophical bent to it. So I use the 1800s definition of it.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, from reading the first issue, clearly they're. Ghost hunters of sorts.
Sorts. They are actual detectives, so sometimes it is a paranormal thing, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes someone is masking something and making it seem like it is, when to dupe someone, to con someone, and so it is both.
Right.
I think it's called Scooby Dooing.
Yeah.
And as far as, this is alternate history. It is completely fictional. I do take tidbits of actual history and kind of expound on them or ignore them, as the case may be.
Yeah.
Depending on what the universe I've developed, and stay true to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wouldn't be Boston Metaphysical without having some paranormal elements in it.
Right. Yeah, and that's probably good. That way, when the history nuts comes up to you and says, "Well, in Boston, Tesla didn't do this," and
I'd say, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. He didn't.
But in my story, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, what about it, guys? You'll come up with any questions?
Yeah, I thought of something. So you started out with like the one sort of mini series, and then you've branched off into like prequels and sequels and even different mediums. Do you find that a lot of the fans, like from the original one, transfer over to the new projects, or do you kind of have to rebuild up the fan base a little bit?
They transfer over. Not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know when we did the Kickstarter for the Ghost Ship, the audio drama, I had, people contact me and says, well, I love this idea. I love this story. Do it as a graphic novel. I'm on board. And I just like, it's not going to happen. But I appreciate you letting me know. So, a goodly amount do transfer over. And a lot of times when I'm at cons, I'll talk to people, and sometimes they're more geared toward the prose, which is fine by me. That's one of the reasons I do it, because this way I have an avenue to bring them into the universe.
Yeah.
And then if they like the universe, they'll go like, a graphic novel, that doesn't sound so bad now because I like what I'm reading here. And then they pick up the graphic novel. I actually have a thing. It's even on the Kickstarter that I call my starter kit, which is volume 1 and the prequel novel, A Storm of Secrets, because that provides the foundation for the entire universe. And that way you can really decide if you like it without breaking the bank, and then get you started.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and I would say that that's a great way. I mean, just using, like yourself for an example, you didn't read comics, but I dare say you might have read prose. So you get someone to pick up your novel, and if they like it, they're like, wait, let me check this out because I like this writer. Let me see what else this writer has to say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, sometimes they can both be the gateway to one another.
Yeah. 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 Comics, the gateway to novels, which is
right.
actually true for me. It was true for me as a reader. Other question?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was just how has Kickstarter, or has it changed? How has it changed for you since your first foray into doing it? Is it become a lot more streamlined now? You've got a lot more slicker at it, but has the platform itself got easier?
Both actually. The platform has evolved over time. I mean, literally 2-3 days ago, they just added images for the first time for your rewards, for the reward tiers and for the add-ons. I mean, it literally just happened like 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I added it for my add-ons, but I mean, we're, 2/3 of the way through the campaign, so I'm not going to, go back and change that. So that's changed. They have add-ons now, which they didn't have, 5 years ago. This is actually my 12th campaign. So it's evolved, and and definitely my planning has streamlined. There's not any kind of the panic that comes. And my Kickstarters, usually I start planning them a year out. So I'll do like, okay, this month I need to do XYZ, and then the next month I do a little more, and then a little more over here. And I'm saying I'm going to do a trade. It's like, okay, I want to have an extra story in the trade. I got to write the story, reach out to artists, all that kind of pre-planning, so everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
I know you reached out to me in, I think, January about the streaming now. Yeah. Yeah.
I usually, because you guys have schedules.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I mean, you have to plan for your shows.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be on, obviously, during March when we were live.
Yeah.
And so, end of January, mid-January, at least 6 weeks out, I start sending messages to people and emailing people. And, within a couple days, I usually have a full calendar for the month.
So what made you go the Kickstarter route? Did you shop it around to publishers initially and think, no, actually, I can do this myself?
Well, when we first started, we self-funded the first 3 issues. And during that time period, I think I did send it out to like maybe Image or something like that. And, there was no interest in that. Fine. And I did have an I think into Oni at the time, but I didn't really like what was going to happen there contractually. Yeah. And from what I've been told, I didn't actually see the contract. This was a while ago. And at that time, Kickstarters happened. The platform was relatively new, and I think I launched my first one maybe a year or 2 after they first got into business. And and I'll tell you, the first Kickstarter I did failed. Yeah, which is fairly typical.
Sure.
Makes sense.
You got to learn.
I learned a lot, re-strategized, and a couple months later, came back and relaunched, and we were fully funded in 24 hours.
Wow.
But
what do you think you changed between?
Oh, I know
those
what I
two?
changed.
All right.
I know exactly what I changed.
What did you change?
Well, the original Kickstarter was to fund the last 3 issues of the 6-issue miniseries and put it together as a trade. The goal was $25,000, and which made sense because between printing and paying my art, I mean everything.
Yeah.
But what happened during that time period is we got over 200 backers and made over $7,000. So historically, that data told me, okay, we can make at least $7,000. That's great. What can we do with that? So we broke it apart into smaller bits and said, okay, we're just going to print issue 3 for a $3,000, to take care of print costs and whatever, and incentives. And so that's what we did. And we were able, with our stretch goals, to print issue 4 within that same Kickstarter. And I think we did have over 200 backers, and I think we made over, we brought in, we knew what we could bring in.
Yeah.
And which was great because no one knew us from anybody. I knew nothing. But from that first failed Kickstarter, I asked the backers in one of the updates, hey, we're going to cancel. Please join our mailing list so we can update you and let you know. I'm only going to tell you, this is just going to be for the Kickstarter, nothing else. I didn't have a newsletter back then like I do now. And so that was the beginning of my mailing list. And then I just grew it over time between doing cons and doing Kickstarters, just growing out the list.
Yeah. And would you say your mailing list has probably been the most important part of what you do now?
Yeah,
as far as
definitely.
Marketing?
Yeah, a mailing list is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, some of these comments here. Vic says historical inaccuracy for the sake of story. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And then he says, have you ever done a long Kickstarter? So how
longer than
days?
30 days? No.
Yeah.
No, I would not.
Are they all 30 days?
Yeah, they're all been 30 days. I wouldn't go longer because I don't have the bandwidth for that. I need to be done.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be
30 days is a long
worrying
time.
about.
Yeah.
I think our first couple of Kickstarters were 30 days, and those are exhausting.
They are. And I have 10 more days to go, or 11 more days. And yeah, no, you definitely begin to feel it by mid-campaign.
Yeah. This is Vic says, what printer do you use to print your comics?
I use Print Lore.
Okay. I don't know them.
Yeah.
Somebody in LA?
Sam over Print Lore. No, she's actually in Chicago.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And she's a broker. She's done a great job for us in the past. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I am that's something I absolutely agree on. Anybody else got a question?
Well, how many campaigns a year do you do?
I try to only do 1 a year because it's so time intensive. But this year I probably will do 2. 1 in the fall. It really depends on how far Elizabeth is in finishing issues 3 and 4. If she's done with 3 and into 4, we probably will.
Yeah. So
that's a really good pace, I think.
Yes, it is.
To keep also your fan base from getting burned out.
They're
excited for the next one.
Yeah, I like to do our Kickstarters as events, and not to burn out the backers. Yeah. So it's like, okay, another project's coming. Well, thank you. Like last year we did volume 2. It's like, thank you. I'm working on something else. When I know more, I'll let you know. And then I just update people after shipping is done. I'll do an update once a month just to let people know what's going on.
What kind of so if your first Kickstarter had say 200 and I know your last one had, I think, like 900, like this close to 1,000.
Yeah.
What kind of growth rate did you see? Like, was it double? Did it double every year, or half again as much? What did you see as far as
it was kind of weird because we tend to we were kind of at the same level for the first two, and then we like finally broke 10,000, I think, with Scourge the Mechanical Men, and then I'd have to go back and actually look.
Yeah. Sorry.
What that all was. But we tend to we've been growing like a little bit, and then every time, and then with Book of Demons, we almost doubled.
So what do you attribute that
to? And so we've been there for the last two Kickstarters, have been hovering around 1,000 backers. Actually, we did go over 1,000, but people drop out. Yeah.
So what would you attribute the doubling to? Because I mean that's impressive.
I think greater reach for each one. Success breeds success.
Yeah.
And I do wish a lot of shows like this.
Yeah.
And to help through the doldrums, as we love to call it.
Yeah. That dead space.
Yeah. And then as your peers move up, you move up, and so you're doing cross promoting with people who are at your level, which then brings you up more, and then brings them up more, because you're helping each other, and it works out very well.
Yeah. Royal Airship says, are you planning to do a hardbound edition of all of the issues, or maybe even just any of the issues?
I haven't yet, and mainly because of the shipping issue overseas. For my non-US backers, I have actually quite a few non-US backers, and I think the shipping would just be prohibitive.
Yeah.
And I would have to I'd probably have to figure out how to print in Europe somewhere and ship directly from there.
Yeah.
And part of that, that's definitely doable because I know other people do it.
Right.
But I'd also want a proof. I need quality control.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult.
Yeah, it does. So are you saying, because we get international backers, but I think all of our international backers are digital. So are you saying you get print international backers?
Yes.
Okay, that's impressive. What do you attribute that to? That they're getting, because it's expensive to ship internationally.
Yeah. I'm just assuming they like the art, they like the story, and they want all the goodies in their hands. Yeah. They just.
Here's a good question here. Royal Airship says, what kind of stretch goals do you have?
I do a mix of digital and physical. Right now, we've reached 2 digital stretch goals of 6 comics indie, as you know, because you're part of them.
We're one of them.
We've actually we've reached 4 stretch goals now. So 2 of those are the digital. So every backer will be getting 12 additional digital comics. Those who pledge to a physical level right now will be getting the 2 magnets and the stainless steel bookmark that's in the image. It's etched with Tesla's experimental station, and we're moving towards the 5th, which will upgrade that to a copper finish.
Okay.
Which looks really cool, by the way.
Yeah.
Those bookmarks are so cool.
So one of your stretch goals is to actually upgrade a previous stretch goal.
Correct.
Well, that's kind of cool. Yeah. I don't think we've ever done anything like that as a stretch goal. We always have stretch goals, but I don't know that we've ever made an upgrade as part of a stretch goal.
Well, our first foil cover may have been like that. because we added it in the middle, I think.
I think you may be right. Yeah. I think you may be right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've seen people do that, and also like spot color or spot foil or things like that. Ron Randall, I think he's done. Oh, but Trekker, he does those upgrades for his books. Like he added like a ribbon bookmark, and because he was doing a hardcover already, I believe, and so one of the was an upgrade was the bookmark, and then I think there was like spot foil or spot UV. All different kinds of upgrades to the book itself to make it more beautiful.
Yeah. Vic says the extra digital books seem mutually beneficial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of the point.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a win-win for everybody. Because I get to give this wonderful digital bundle to people, and people are introduced to new comics they may not have ever seen before, and they read them and go like, "Oh, I like this. Where can I get it?" Right. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Now, do you usually do people usually come to you and say, "Hey, I've got this this cool comic. Would you include it in your next one, or do you usually go out and find them, or both ways? Both ways.
Both.
A little bit of both. And I remember when you and I first talking, when I introduced myself, you went like, "Hey, I saw you did XYZ. Can I?" And I went like,
"Yep,
bring them on."
Yep.
I'm on board.
I remember because when I think Pops is the one who introduced who put us who made the connection, and so I went out and I had you have to forgive me, but I knew your name, and I'm like, I know the name. Where did I know the name from? But I had seen your and I'd have to go back and look, but I think I may have backed one of them. But I've seen many of your Kickstarters before, and I'm like, okay. And then I found one. I'm like, look, she's got an indie bundle. So hey, what about this? And you were like, come on, bring it. Yeah. I think that might be something that we borrow from you, that idea, because I think it's a great idea.
Well, I don't know. I've been doing it for a while. I don't know who I borrowed it from. I've been doing it for quite a while. Yeah. And I'm sure I borrowed it from somebody else.
Yeah.
Who borrowed it from somebody else.
Sure, of course.
And it's just one of the wonderful things about working in the, within the indie comic creator community is, we all rise together and help each other out.
Yeah. I agree.
It's part of the fun.
I love that. Yeah. I'm absolutely. Yeah. We don't really have a ban against talking about Marvel and DC here, but we try not to talk too much about them. Me and Tommy and Roberta, we all worked for Marvel back in the day. I know Tommy's done I've done a tiny bit of DC work. I think Tommy did. Roberta, did you ever do any DC work at all?
Nothing, no.
No, yeah.
I didn't.
So we don't really have a ban here. It's not like that, but we're aggressively pro independent comic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's see here. Vic has another. I know Charlie McLevy. Oh, hold on a second here. We got it. Pete. There you go. Pete.
There you
go. Hey, baby.
Baby.
They're talking to you. Yeah. Someone's not sleeping, are they?
No. Somebody should be asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry about that. We had as you can see, that's a new baby. It's still in mint condition.
It's a naughty baby.
Because she should be asleep, right?
Mummy got upset because you weren't doing what you were told. Yeah.
Vic says the little Clinton, and now she's traumatized.
Aw, I don't think we're that scary.
Vic, I did indeed work. It was freelance editorial stuff that I did for DC in the aughts. Not something you need to look up. Oh shoot! Baby Clinton distracted me there. Who's got the next question?
Well, I wanted to ask about your next set of art, and is it going to be a different sort of style, or you're just having different people for your next set?
Are you talking about the variants?
Yeah, the new. Yeah, I was gonna call it a spin-off, but yeah, the variants.
Oh, the variant covers. No, I'll be having 2 other female artists. I'll be hiring 2 others for that. For issues 3.
They
and
look so great on your site. I really
yeah, they
love
just
the variety.
It's been so much fun. I mean, I worked with Gwen Tavares for 4 years, who did everything and coloring. She's amazing. But we had to part ways because she has 2 kids under the age of 3, so that should all you need to know.
She's busy.
2 kids under the age of 3.
Yeah. So I think she does a pinup when she can, and she may also be working still on Dead End Moon, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it was obviously an amicable break. Yeah. But it was a good time because I was decided to go into doing another 4-issue miniseries as opposed to a one-shot. And
that makes sense.
So
it's a good time.
It was a good time to do that. Took a while to find Elizabeth because I go through so many portfolios, and it's not that all of these women were amazing, and some I couldn't afford. They were just outside of my budget, and that's that. And some, like I said, all of them were amazing, or else they wouldn't have been on my list, period. But it's almost picking one is difficult because I couldn't even verbalize to you what I'm looking for, because it just needs to have a sense that they can capture the Boston metaphysical world. Yeah. That, in a continuing, ongoing series, that they're able to do that. And Elizabeth has done a tremendous job.
It's fantastic. She approves.
That's right.
So are you financing these all yourself and then trying to get the money or some money back from Kickstarter, or are you saying, are you gonna you raising the money out of Kickstarter to pay your artists? And
well, it's a combination of Kickstarter and working Comic-Cons.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
How many conventions do you do?
We've been Boston Metaphysical has been self-sufficient for a number of years now. So, I mean, been very fortunate in that. I mean, in the very beginning, we were self-funding and doing that balancing act, like, okay, I need to pay for the printing. So we take the printing money out of the house fund, run the Kickstarter, and then, put the money back afterwards. And fortunately, I don't have to do that anymore. So I'm very happy about that.
And so now, but so this is a long picture though too. So when was the first Kickstarter done, and what year? Do you remember?
Oh my God, 2013, 2014, maybe.
So you are talking a good 10 or 11 years.
Yes, I was reminded last year that it was our 10th anniversary.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been technically we have 10 issues out. Plus the novel, the anthology, and the audio drama, and the Kickstarter book, of course, which I wrote. Yeah,
and so you've been on this one IP, for lack of a better word, for 10 years, and it's been out there long enough that people are like, hey, we recognize this. We're going to look into this. I've maybe seen it a couple of years and didn't do anything, but now, hey, it's still around. Let me check it out.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing cons in the first 5 years while we were doing the original 6-issue miniseries, that there would be a couple gentlemen who'd always stop by my table at various cons, and I'd recognize them, and we'd chat. They'd never buy anything. And then they chat because it's fine. You can come chat with me. It's not a problem. And then when we did the trade paperback, they bought it. They were waiting to see if I was going to finish the series.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of that.
And I completely understand because I was new. I hadn't finished a series before. Yeah. And, fortunately now I think people see that I always finish what I start, and everything gets delivered. Yeah. This series is already written. And so now it's just in the, the pipeline with the artist and the colorist and everything. And so it does give me, I do have fun. I do work on other comic anthologies, which I really enjoy playing in other people's sandbox, because I can write the story and then hand it over and say, here, you produce it. Bye.
I know that feeling.
And then you probably know I did a story for Lady Mechanica.
Right.
And,
I was excited about that.
And
what issue is it?
It's a 4-issue miniseries called The Secret Garden. And I believe Joe is working on issue 1 right now.
So cool.
Because Marcia, his co-writer and editor, Marcia Chen, said, she goes, oh, I don't think he's going to be finished with issue 1 before WonderCon. Like, it's okay. Joe has his own schedule. That's totally fine.
Right.
It's just going to be really cool to see, the story that we put together done by him.
Yeah.
Great.
It's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
and they're a joy to work with, by the way. They're wonderful. Wonderful
that's
people.
Good. Yeah. So Vic says, I should probably set this question up. He said, I remember you said you were looking for a female artist specifically when you were looking. Is there any reason for that? And Vic is asking because obviously Vic is an artist.
Oh,
yeah.
Female artists, I think, often get lost and amongst the noise. And since I'm the one who's writing the checks, I decided that I'm just hiring female artists. And I do, when I don't do pinups anymore, just because shipping them is such a pain.
Yes.
But in previous Kickstarters, I did do pinups that we shipped out, and I did hire a gentleman, off and on throughout, for years.
Right.
To do pinups. But it's and part of it's marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we're just, except for Troy, who I adore, and he's been with me since the beginning, so I can't imagine life without Troy doing Boston Metaphysical.
Yeah.
So,
well, and for me, I think you have to consider marketing, right? I mean, you can't, if you're trying to make any kind of money on it, you can't just say, well, I'm just going to do this without considering marketing at all. Vic says, fair enough. Your book, your rules.
It's my book. It's my money. I get to pick that.
Good choice.
I think things like, now, were you a part of the, because I know so many who were you a part of the Womanthology a few years ago?
No, I was not.
Okay.
No. I would have loved to have been, but I think
well, you might have been under the radar at that point in time.
I may have been under the radar. So
because there's a lot of mainstream names involved with that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, more recently, I did a short for the Dark Side of Purity for Band of Bards, and what else? Cthulhu is Hard to Spell, the first volume. I have a short in that, which Unlikely Heroes is just finishing up, I think, over on Backer Kit. I think they're doing the crowdfunding over at Backer Kit now.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of shorts, and people have come to me to do stuff, and I would love to, but time, sometimes I just can't.
Well, and you've got your thing that's a success, so why would you not abandon it, but why would you put off doing that thing that you already know is going to work to do this thing that you're not sure is going to work?
It really depends. And then sometimes I've been offered jobs to do other miniseries, and I just what they want me to do, and sometimes I just know I'm not the right person for the job.
Yeah.
And I'll say, like, thank you so much for asking me. I'm honored and thrilled, but I really don't think I'm the right person to write this.
Yeah. Vic says, I got to get my hand on that from the Band of Bards. As you might imagine, there's some baby comments here. Roy Orso, did Peter just hand that baby a grenade? What
Yeah.
was that?
It's a thermal grenade. That,
you got that
I got
from here,
when
didn't
I
you?
was with Tommy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thermal detonator.
Thermal
Is there
detonator.
still Coke in it, or did you finally drink it all?
No, I drank the cola. Couldn't get that through the airplane.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That now
Oh,
the baby's going
My
rogue.
husband has those in his office. Yeah.
Yeah. A chaotic good rogue. All these comments are about
Oh, wow.
chaotic cute, maybe. All right, other questions. Next question.
Okay.
Are your timelines going to be consistent with that kind of short steampunkish time, or is it going to ever kind of evolve into some kind of future?
Good question. I like that.
I don't know yet. I haven't decided.
Good answer too.
It depends on how long you keep writing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of side stories I can do because I've set up so much. I can go a lot of different ways, and
Yeah.
I know there's I've started a trilogy of novels that are set about 35 years before the first graphic novel that is set during what I call the House Wars, which is the equivalent of the American Civil War.
Cool.
And I've written the first novel, but I have to go do the other two, which I hope to start maybe like a few weeks after this is over. I can start getting my head back into that because I really like to finish that. But this Mystery at Pikes Peak is a complete story arc. It is also a stepping stone into clearly what, open-ended enough that, they're going to be off on another adventure.
Sounds fun.
So there's probably I can probably keep writing this for as long as I want.
That's cool. That's a fun feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, there's just so much to it that it wouldn't be a problem.
So Royal Airships has another question here. There's actually two of them, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop both of them up here. I can't pop them up at the same time. But he says, is there more steampunk or more metaphysical? And then he said, is the steampunk aspect generally accepted in your world? Like it's just how things are, or is it still novels? It's still a novel idea?
Oh, it's an organic part of the world. Boston Metaphysical has always been more steampunk-ish than steampunk. So yeah, there will be cool gadgets, but the cool gadgets are not the focus of the story. They're simply the tools that the characters use for whatever. So there's definitely more of a paranormal, metaphysical aspect to it. But it's also very much a somewhat of a political thriller because of the way I've built this society.
Yeah, I know. Just from reading the first issue, I noticed there was a lot of the detective mystery aspect of it, and there wasn't really a mention of, oh, you have a cool steam gadget, let me try this out, right? It was just it was like, here's a spoon, right? Yeah.
It's and then you meet Granville who is the genius scientist, who by the way is an actual historical figure. Granville T. Woods was alive during the same time period as Edison and Alexander Graham Bell. There's no evidence that I found that he actually ever met Tesla in real life. There is a fun story where he sued Edison for stealing some of his patents because, well, that's what Edison did. But Granville won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he won. And so Edison offered him a job, which Granville refused, and started his own business with his brother in upstate New York. Granville himself was originally from Ohio, but I brought him to Boston because I can do that. I'm the writer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Pete's back. Sans baby.
Okay.
Yes, he's someone else's problem now.
Oh, okay. So Mama's up now.
She was never going to sleep in here. There's too many things for her to look at.
Too many toys on
Everybody's
on
up,
Papa's
it
desk.
sounds like.
So Vic says, is the ghostly aspects integrated into the society, or is it still taboo?
It's a combination of both. It depends on what social strata you're living in. The great houses don't like to admit that it exists, but sometimes it kind of smacks them in the face, which is when they bring in the team, because they are discreet about it. And in in other aspects of society, it is normal, but no one talks about it. It's kind of hush hush, but yeah, it is definitely a part of the society.
Very cool.
It's just that a lot of people don't like to admit it.
Yeah. So Royal says, was he from Granville, Ohio? Because that's right down the road from me.
No, I don't think he's from Granville, Ohio.
Well,
I forgot exactly which town he's from.
I would also think, Royal, that it probably wouldn't have been Granville, Ohio at the time. It might be Granville, Ohio now, because you don't normally name it after somebody alive, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been named. If it's named after him, then I'm really surprised, because he died pretty much in obscurity in upstate New York.
Wow. Okay.
There's a plaque to him there somewhere. I don't remember. Rochester, maybe? I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it's a shame. When I did research, when I was originally developing this story, I didn't want a lily white cast, because women and people of color are part of American history, so I wanted to demonstrate that. And in my research, I found him because, he lived in the exact time period that I needed him to live in. And so, yeah, he kind of got lost, and I found him. He did excel in railroad switching technology.
Oh, that's cool.
Mainly, he was able to fine tune the technology, so moving trains and stations could talk to each other at the same time, so they wouldn't go kaboom.
Yeah.
Kind of important.
My dad actually spent like 3 months as a telegrapher, and he literally pulled the switches on the swap the tracks. He didn't do that very long, though. He said he hated it. But he did learn telegraphy.
Yeah, I can imagine that not being a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, at the time, too, my dad was very, very thin. And he said, I couldn't barely budge that thing. He goes, oh, those were heavy. He said, what was his full name again? Granville T. Woods. Yeah. Royal's going to track him down. So putting together a campaign takes a lot of work. If you haven't done, for those of you who are listening who haven't put something together on Kickstarter, it's a lot of work. You got to come up with all the different pages. Do you do this all on your own, or do you have help doing this? How does sort of building the Kickstarter page and that campaign work?
I do it all.
You do it all? Okay.
No, I do it all. Fortunately, I used to be a marketing director in a previous life.
Okay.
So that was helpful. But I will say I don't do the video. I write the script for the video, but I hire a very talented young man, my videographer, who puts together what I call the talking head portion. And then he does the animation. But yeah, I script everything out for him, and we talk about it, and we tell him which panels to use, and then sometimes he finds another panel he likes better. So, there is conversations.
Sure.
Because he's very good at it. So I, that's one thing I try not to do is micromanage the people I hire.
Right.
Is that's the reason I hired them.
Yeah. So one of the things I noticed is that, one of the things I wanted to ask you actually is that I see a lot of Kickstarters that do not have the creator appear on the Kickstarter video. They're just, music and words go flashing at you and images go flashing at you as well. You're on yours. You're talking. Do you have any thoughts? Any ideas about which one is better than the other, or why you choose to be on them? It's a leading question. I have thoughts, but
okay. I've always done it that way, and for one, it's the personal touch,
right?
And people like to see the face behind it all. They have to know that there's a real person there, and this gives them that. And so you see me in every single video, so I'm a real breathing human being. That when you message me, I will talk back to you. I will message back. And
but you don't have a team of people that will, if you say, "Hey, Madeleine, I got a question," it's you answering.
It is. Though I'm
nice.
getting the point now where I actually need a team.
Yeah. I would think so. Well, you've gained 2 backers since I don't know if it's because of our show, but you've gained 2 backers since you've been with us. So but you've got 664 backers. That's a lot of packages to put together. I mean, that's a lot of work to do, a lot of communication.
Yes, it is. Up until the last 2 Kickstarters, when we were up towards 1,000 backers, I did all, I did 90% of the shipping myself. And then my husband, like some of the bigger, because he's great with packaging. So some of the larger packages, he would help me with, because he just did this beautiful job. When he saw how many backers came in with Book of Demons, he said, "Okay, you're going to be doing this for the next 6 months. You need help." And so he's been helping me for the last 2. And, after that, it was like, okay, I think we need to do this differently. So depending on how this works out and how many packages are going to go out, I'm probably just going to hire a couple fans/friends, come over for the day. We'll put up tables, make sure it's a bright, beautiful day, tables in the front yard, get everything ready to go, and provide lunch.
Yep.
Pay them, and
packing party.
And then it's a packing party.
Packing party. Video. You got to take video of it.
Oh yeah, we'll take video of it, and we get 500 to 600 packages done. That's going to be most of them, and then there's going to be some that will be very special that I'll be doing.
Yeah.
Depending on all the add-ons and what additional stuff that people want.
Right.
And some of the overseas packages require more special care, particularly the larger ones, because you've heard of pirate ship, correct?
Yep. Yeah. That's what we use.
They have a simple export rate for overseas from the U.S., but it caps at 4 pounds. If you get an all books package or the ultimate package, that is over 4 pounds.
Yeah.
So what we do, and it's one of the joys of being married to a rocket scientist, because he thinks of these things. He says, split them in 2. And so actually what I'm able to do is keep it under 3 pounds for each package, and then, charge basically double that. It saves in the long term.
Still saves money.
It saves the backer. The larger the package, it saves the backer anywhere from $20 to $40 in postage.
Oh, wow. That's wild, isn't it?
That's crazy. A lot.
Yeah, but then you have to figure out, okay, these are the folks we need to split these packages, and how they're packaged to make sure that they're under a certain amount of weight, and gets them to the backer in one piece.
Yeah. That requires math, and that's difficult for me. So I asked that because that was one of the things I noticed about your video, is that you were on there and you spoke and you're like, "Hi," and I will say this, that when someone sends me to a Kickstarter page and then all it is dramatic music and images flying and words flying, I quit, and I don't want to see that. I want to see the creator. Me personally, I want to see the creator talk to me, right? Say, just tell me, hey, I'm so and so. This is a book I've always wanted to do, or hey, I just got this idea for this book last night. I thought it would be fun to do. Right? Talk to me though. Don't give me all this stuff. I don't want to see all that.
Yeah, I mean, some people, the animated video, it has its other uses because you can post that around the social media, and people just want to see that, and that's awesome.
It's great for TikTok.
Yeah, and on Instagram and other places.
Yeah.
But for your Kickstarter page, it's like, this is the place for independent creators.
Yeah.
And I am the independent creator.
Yep.
And this is who I am. This is what we're doing. This is what we've done. This is what we have to offer you.
Yeah.
And and this is what this project, this is what this Kickstarter is for.
Yeah. I agree. That's partly why I wanted to ask. I wanted to see if that was kind of what your take on it was as well. Royal says, after a quick search, Granville was born, lived, and worked 20 minutes for me. I'll have a deeper dive. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. There is conflicting stories about him. There's some, I guess one of my favorite stories is that he never went to college, but he had white friends who did go to college, and they snuck books out, engineering books out for him. And so he was essentially self-educated. Mm-hmm. And then there are others that say that, that he did go to college. So, there's a lot of, I think it just depends on where and what you read. So
yeah,
I know he had a brother. I didn't give him a brother. I gave him a sister.
Yeah.
In who you meet in Scourge of the Mechanical Men, and a niece. He has a niece who he adores, and he has a nice relationship with her. And she's very into science, and her mother doesn't really approve, and because that's not what young ladies do.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good plot.
Yeah. I noticed some of that in that first story of the whole this is your place in society today aspect from some couple of the characters. I can't remember which one right now.
Oh, it would have been Caitlin's mother, Erin.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And she comes back. Yeah, Erin. Yeah. Mom is a thing.
So some of the pictures I've seen, and I don't remember if it's Facebook or where, you are in steampunk garb. Do you, because you go to shows, does this, do you dress like that at the shows to, what's that?
Oh, I've got a very screamy baby. I've got to have to leave.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's getting called back.
Sorry, Pete.
All right.
He was on mute on the camera though.
I'm so sorry. Gonna have to
go.
Good
to see she gets her looks from her mom.
She looks a lot like me actually.
Very cute.
Madeline, it was really nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too, Peter.
Best of luck with the Kickstarter.
Thank you.
I'm gotta go.
All right.
Nice to
see you next week,
Bye,
Pete.
guys.
Appreciate you.
I'm sorry. Where were
that
we?
Was a good question. Do you have your steampunk garb?
Yeah.
Conventions.
I only dress up when I go to steampunk conventions.
Okay.
When I do Comic Cons, I don't.
Okay.
Did you at all? It's a comfort level. That's all. I'm on my feet for 10 to 12 hours, so I just
Oh, so physically comfort, not like emotionally comfort.
No, it's physically comfort because I can wear my sneakers.
No, those hurt.
Yeah, and corsets are. I actually stopped wearing the corsets because I just can't deal with that.
I would. Yeah, those just look painful.
Me too. I quit wearing them a long
They
time.
give you wonderful posture, and I have nothing but respect for the creators, the seamstresses, the tailors, the creators, the makers who make this tremendous clothing and hats and Oh my
Mhm.
God, it is.
Yeah.
I have seen such beautiful things, and I'm just like,
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big dresser upper. Having also been a fitness instructor for 18 years, I'd much rather be wearing gym clothes. So yeah.
Makes
Well, you know,
sense.
that could be a draw too.
I got a
I
question.
don't wear gym clothes at cons though. I do
No.
look presentable.
Yeah, no. I was teasing, but yeah. Roberta probably remembers when all the booth babes started happening. You remember that?
Oh
those
yeah, of
times,
course.
Roberta?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
a
were
lot
we
of
were
those.
doing conventions when all that first started happening, and
Everyone dressed up, and it was
Yep. Yeah.
it
Now
just
we
they
Tommy,
had
did
to
you ever
have
know?
someone posing.
Yes. Tommy, did you ever know Ted Slampiak? Did you ever know him?
Oh, the name sounds.
Well, he got started with Jazz Age
Was he a
Chronicles.
booth babe?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so.
okay.
But then he went on to do a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So one of the things that Ted used to do is his book was set in the 20s, so he always used to dress up as his detective. He had
That's cool.
yeah, and
very
so
cool.
that was kind of what I thought when I saw those pictures of you. I'm like, I wonder if this is what you do when you go to conventions.
Well, we know some other Florida folks that dress up as their characters.
Oh yes, that
Yeah.
would be Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon.
Yes,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
Matt
yeah,
and
yeah.
Steph.
Yeah. Yeah, they always dress up. I'm like,
They sure do. And it's usually like halfway through the show, they're like, forget it. They take all their stuff off, and you know at the point where they're like, I'm done with it. I'm not wearing it anymore.
Too hot, and they're always just, or Matt is anyway.
Well,
Always
it's part of
sweating.
their band, you know.
Yeah. They're
yeah,
always music.
it's part of their marketing, and I completely understand. I
Yeah.
also in the early days of this, I did go to cons and sort of kind of dress up. Like I had a cool vest and a hat and pins and funky things like that. But yeah, no, I don't really do that anymore, and just dress as a grown up.
I do have a Kickstarter question for you. So
Yes.
tell us some Kickstarter, because you've had some high number Kickstarters. What are some no-nos to do or not to do, rather, in your Kickstarters that you just throughout the years that you've tried these things and they just don't work? So to tell folks things not to do, don't do this, don't do this. This is not even worth doing, that kind of stuff.
Well, I would say I've always done this, but it's a pet peeve of mine when I don't see it on other people's Kickstarters. Is right at the top, you should tell me what this Kickstarter is for. It's like, we are here to print our 200 full color, 200 page full color graphic novel with whatever. And then you can go into a little of the story, show me some pretty pictures, and then you can take a deeper dive and characters and all the rest. But don't make me search for why you are here.
Yeah.
That makes me crazy.
Yeah.
And I will okay, I'm done.
Are you searching through
unless it's a friend or it's a consulting job or something.
Right.
You hate going through the campaign levels there, trying to find the book when it's all this other junk, and then the last item is the actual thing that they're there for. You're like, why did I have to go through 20 things to get to the actual book?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done at that point.
Yeah. And it's always a mistake. You need some lower level tiers because there's some people, who have limited budgets. I mean,
Sure.
I have a limited Kickstarter budget, and you just want to say, give them a good on you. I want you to succeed, but I can only give you $3. I can only give you $5 or something like that. So, give us either a tier like that, or depending on what it is, or at least $10. But also make sure you have a tier, at least 2 tiers between the $10 and $50 level. Because the magic number for most people is around between $25 and $35.
Yeah.
And
before
a
shipping
physical or something you can hold in your hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess another big thing is not factoring in the shipping amount, because we know a lot of Kickstarter folks that after they get their money, they're like, I didn't get enough money to ship this stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got a bill one time.
Either build it into
the you did get a bill, didn't you?
I got a bill one time. I backed the Kickstarter, and it was for a physical reward, and then I went to fill out my thing, and it said, okay, now you owe this for shipping. I'm like, what? No. I've already backed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a new thing, and I understand it in certain circumstances, and most Kickstarters will say they're very plain. In the beginning, they weren't forthcoming with this, but if you look, there's always going to be a section on shipping, like you see on mine, for international shipping, and I even talk about VAT. You got, I'm sorry, but for those overseas, non-US, you're going to have to deal with it. There's nothing I can't do anything about that.
It's high. Yeah. Even first class shipping overseas is high.
Well, I won't be back in any more projects from that particular, but they sprung it on me.
Often, creators now will say shipping will be charged through backer kit after the campaign ends.
Yeah,
and this is particularly important for the creator if it's something like a hardback. Yeah, because you won't know.
No,
you just won't know.
And you might finish your campaign today and not ship it for 5 or 6 months. Who knows what the post office is going to do?
Yeah, because it's going to be jacked up another 4 or 5% per month as it's been doing lately.
Yeah. Well, and also if you're shipping during the holiday period, which I think starts.
Oh, it's even more.
It's like it starts like at the end of October now.
Yeah.
Through January 10th or something. That it's more. So.
Yeah.
I can understand. I personally don't. I won't do that unless I absolutely have to for some reason.
Yeah. That one caught me off guard.
It did with me too. I think once. And so I mean that's why either build it into the reward tier.
Yeah.
Or add it on like. Sometimes in the previous ones I've done, if it's just like a single issue thing, I'll just tack on, an extra $3.
Yeah.
So, because that'll take care of most of the media mail, and then I'll do the rest. It's close enough.
Yeah.
For me, but yeah, it's that always kind of startles you. But you'll see most backers will make it very clear that. Shipping will be charged after the fact.
Yeah. And had I been, had that been clear, I might not have been as surprised. But Vic, I'm going to answer this one question for you. Did Malibu slump low enough, dude? We were not slumping low enough.
What?
We were marketing. Did you not get that part about marketing?
They thought it would be helpful.
Yeah, we did have a mantra.
It's what we did in the 90s.
People just did that.
I say we, as in I didn't have anything to do with it, but the company.
No, we didn't
there was the booth babes, but there was booth dudes too. There was.
There were.
There was. Yeah.
Yeah, we went out and hired an actress. She looked like Mantra. Yeah. And so she came to several of the conventions, particularly those there in San Diego. She came to several conventions with Malibu at the time. So she was incredibly nice. She didn't know anything about the comic, and she had to have Diane was the one who was with her and had to kind of feed her the information all the time, so she would know. But she was incredibly nice. So all right. So my clock says 9:29, which means that we are here at the end. Madeleine, is there anything? Let me toss this back up here. Looks like you got two new backers since the numbers just changed. Two new backers since we've been on. So hopefully that was somebody on the stream. So hopefully we push some people your way. Is there anything that we didn't ask that you're like, man, why didn't you guys ask this me? I really wanted to say this.
Yeah, after 3 shows, what did we not ask?
Right.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot.
I think you covered most everything, except just to let people know that I do have a a Kickstarter book out called Kickstarter for the Independent Creator.
Okay, I think Barb talked about that.
Yeah, it was the second edition. It's currently out with the green cover. It originally came out in 2017, but I did update it in 2020.
And where can you get it?
Amazon and any ebook platform out there.
Excellent.
Nice. Yeah, I think if I recall correctly, I think Barb got the ebook first, and then I think she liked it so much she ordered the physical book, and we had a conversation.
She loves that book.
Yeah, she was showing me all of her highlights and bookmarks and stuff in there. So
yeah, I always recommend that people sit down and read it all the way through, and then go back and then make notes what is particular for your campaign, because it assumes that you're starting from scratch, and you may not. You may have a decent email list, but you want to do the other things. It won't be updated for some of the current Kickstarter applications because they're too new.
Right. Yeah.
And one of these days I'll go back and update it. But it's one of those things that the basic strategies are all there, and that will never change.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm a big fan of the add-ons. When they that was one of the things that I would put after, they send you the surveys. What can we do? I'm like, add-ons, and
yeah. I mean, I have this, like I said, this is the first time I've done add-ons with Kickstarter, and the reason for that is because in prior years they're still working on the back end admin, and I don't like being the beta for anything.
Right.
So I let other people, play with this. And so I have a limited amount of add-ons here. And then when we're closer to shipping, either I'll be doing backer kit or something like that. So people can add on additional things.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Well, I'm a big fan of the add-ons.
Well, it sure makes the main front page campaign look a lot, rather than have 20 things that have the add-ons in it. Now you just have 2 or 3 things, and then you go to the add-on and you can dump the rest of the stuff in there. Makes it make a lot more sense.
Just this afternoon I put on a new add-on for 3 metal. It's a set of 3 metal dirigible metal bookmarks that are being stainless steel, brass, and copper finish. And so that's why you're seeing the numbers change, is that I put out an update. It says, hey guys, there's only 50 of these sets. You want them?
Yeah. You better act fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with 600 backers or nearly, you're pushing, you're closing in on 700 now. That's a big deal. If you're one of those backers, you need to get out there and jump on that before those are gone. Yeah.
So, and they turn out beautifully. Yeah, the folks who do them do a great job. And Alejandro Lee designed those, and he did a great job.
Cool. Well, Madeleine, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight and letting us ask you all kind of questions about Boston Metaphysical and your stories and where they came from and your Kickstarter. And we appreciate you and we appreciate your time. Where can people find you online?
Well, right now you can find us on Kickstarter. Just pop in Boston Metaphysical and it'll probably pop right up at the top for Mystery at Pikes Peak. Also my website is bostonmetaphysicalsociety.com, which is also queenofmercia.com. That's my corporate name, but that's still me. I have my name all over it, so you won't be elsewhere. Facebook, Boston Metaphysical Society Comic. Twitter, I'm Holly-Rosing, and Instagram, MC Holly, the numeral 1.
Sounds good. Sounds great. Tuesday, guys, the Tuesday show is going to be here this Tuesday. They're going to be talking about creating believable fantasy worlds. Wednesday, the Whammers are going to be talking about the art of dialogue in our stories and others. And next week, we will be back with a stream that we're going to title What It's Like Being Pete. And we are going to question Pete about being English, British, and growing up on that
whatever
island.
he thinks it is.
Whatever he thinks it is. That's right. So until next time, guys, remember to make mine Silverline. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'm April Hunter. Make mine Silverline.
All right.